Beastmaster as well, coming out from RNG. Another very popular hero. Very useful, especially with those the birds. Just sending them out, they go invis, they scout out for you. The raw, always useful, as it does go through magic immunity. Vici Gaming, they will pick up an Undying for themselves, and well, we know that there's been some significant changes to the talents of Undying. Certainly not looking as forward as hitting level 15 anymore. Of course, you don't get that tombstone on death at 15, but rather 20. Instead, you can opt for the plus 30 damage for the zombies at level 15. Arguably not as good, unfortunately, for the Undying John, but nevertheless, Vici Gaming do believe in this hero. RNG go for the Medusa, and Vici Gaming will go straight into the PA.
Yeah, I do like this opening from VG. It's pretty aggressive. It works quite well with Tusk. Again, that Phantom Assassin does benefit quite a fair bit from trapping people in to make sure they can't run away. Tag team, of course, is quite helpful as well for that PA. And the Undying on top of the Tusk is just really aggressive early game. You can get a lot going in your lane. You can roam around quite nicely. You are a nuisance, to say the least, in that laning phase. And at worst, a pretty deadly foe to come up against, especially in a tri-lane. You will have to watch out with your spacing for RNG. We've seen the Medusa come out every now and again. In fact, we've seen it a fair few times from China now, and it's here they fall back on. It does still do a lot of work, as long as you give it enough space to farm up. The reduction of ancient camps has kind of hurt it just a bit. Slows down that gold progression just a tad. But I think overall the hero still does what it needs to do. In fact, I feel like we've seen the Medusa and Sven together just recently, but can't quite recall fully if that was Medusa Sven. It does work out quite well. I think there are ways to deal with that if you are Vici Gaming. I think the ODs pretty much can deal with Medusa as long as you don't get shafted too hard in your lane. So as long as you can kind of deal with that Mystic Snake somehow, you should be able to make Medusa's laning a bit harder than it should be. So as long as you get some good positioning there, get lucky with the bounces, the OD should be happy. Otherwise, the Medusa can take over if you're not careful with how you throw yourself out there. You might need to support maybe an early rotation from that Tusk to help keep that Medusa down. And VG does tie up their draft with a Centaur Warrunner. So a really aggressive draft coming out from VG, I have to say, Mike. It doesn't quite look like a farming draft, honestly. It looks like something that wants to be active early on, wants to hit their power spikes in good stride by the mid game, and overwhelm RNG right around the 25-30 minute mark, probably, before the Medusa can get too big, and hopefully before the Sven becomes a really big threat. So it looks like VG does want to keep that fast-paced game going for themselves here, Mike.
Oh, that's what I love to see. Vici Gaming, full aggression their way. RNG, like you said, they're more than happy to sit back. They've got a Sven, they've got a Medusa. Just chill out, farm up, and just become way too powerful to stop in the late game. So, of course, Vici Gaming, they have the lineup to try and finish this quick, or at the very least gain such a significant lead that RNG find it almost impossible to come back, but we'll see. They have been playing very well today. See where they head with this final pick of theirs. Of course, do you think they're going to run the Medusa versus OD matchup in that mid lane?
I can see it happening. I've seen it go mainly Medusa's way, actually. It depends entirely on how that OD positions itself. If you cop a bit too much of that Mystic Snake, it's going to be really painful. It's going to be hard to really keep yourself sustained in that lane. As long as Medusa does catch those snakes out to you. If Medusa doesn't manage to catch you in those bounces, then you're fairly okay. But you have to be very aware of whenever that spell is up.
Go for a last pick Jug as well. So RNG is so powerful during those later stages. It will be a support Sven, however. Flyby will be on that offlane Beastmaster, and of course Monet will be the safe lane Jug. Setsu will indeed take that mid Medusa, and Mad, well, he's played a fantastic day today anyway, but Sven as a support, still very viable, I'm sure. Like, this is only, like, the patch only came out very recently. Vici Gaming still pretty strong with their own draft, and when at the very least we're in for a very fun game, it looks.
Oh, definitely so. I mean, So much could go on here. RNG will try to kind of hold out for that later part of the game, but they do they do have some work to do in the early game as well. I mean, the Juggernaut with a good Omni Slash can pick off your supports, your squishier supports, although the supports on VG Gaming side aren't really that squishy. Tusk is not the easiest target to take out, and so is the Undying. It's really not the easiest two targets to kill off, but you do have the potential there for RNG. We'll see how they choose to play it. I do have a feeling that they'd rather not force the issue with VG's draft this early on. Maybe wait for about the 20-minute mark when Setsu has at least one, maybe two items up. Same with Monet, or they feel comfy enough to start jumping in there. Otherwise, they're just going to chill out in those first 20 minutes, I feel. Outside of rotations from Mad and Afu, probably. But I expect a bit more activity from VG. Again, with that Tusk, with that Undying, you really want to be active in the map. You want to shut down this course fast while you're really strong. These two heroes are really strong in that early game. They have utility in the late game, but their power spike is really massive in the early game.
Monet giving the good lucks out. VG Gaming. Great sportsmanship from both these teams. And Monet, of course, gets started on the piggies. Great to see he kept some for the next game, or the next series anyway.
Ah.
I imagine probably both these teams scrim with each other often enough. It does seem like they know each other on a personal level.
Probably so, Mike.
The DY and Fade going to be at that bot lane, so they are going to run a tri-lane with Paparazzi on the side of Vici Gaming. It's not going to be easy for Monet on that Jug, especially at the moment if he gets caught out. Fade hasn't skilled anything up quite yet. Looks like he will not engage for the moment. That we do see Mad also rotate in as that Sven, and well, at this point it's a lot harder to imagine a kill coming out for the side of Vici. It will just be a little scuttle over those bounty runes.
The battle begins.
G, go for it though. DY does pick it up on that Undying and starts dishing out a bit of harassment onto Monet. That Jug. Because Afu is going to be in that off lane as the Jakiro. He will be with Flyby on the Beastmaster. Yang currently solo on that Centaur, and it does look like it's going to be a tri-lane versus tri-lane situation at that bot lane. So we'll keep a close eye out on this one because it's going to be very, very aggressive. Overall, however, John, you always like to point out the fact that tri-laning against an Undying generally doesn't work out in your favor.
Yeah, it's not something I tend to like. I mean, Undying just likes it a lot when there are multiple heroes in his lane. Just giving him 3 heroes to work with is pretty much, you know, it's not ideal. He already has a fair bit of strength stone. Yeah, you kind of have to watch out.
Well, they are going to go for a stun on the Tusk, and Fade losing a lot of HP, but he'll be alright. They might even turn on this because DY, again, just decaying the hell out of them. But they'll back off for the moment. Definitely at least wanting those level 2s up before they can really start to dive in. Well, top lane. Much just going to be a bit of a farm fest between these two heroes. They'll just... Well, Yang's not being too nice, but they'll just trade some farm for the moment. And mid lane as well. Like, there's no aggression going on here between an OD and a Medusa. I feel like both of them are just going to be farming, and I suppose at the very least, Ori is going to be trying to get a bit aggressive with that Astral Imprisonment, but Setsu does look to be set on just being very defensive and just farming up on this Medusa, and Ori is going to have somewhat of a difficult time trying to get in range for that Astral.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy time for Ori to sustain in this lane after, let's say Mystic Snake is at level 3, it starts to get a bit challenging. But before then, you can kind of match just fine. Just, again, just Astral spam, turning on that Equilibrium for mana, and you can sustain yourself for a while. But once a few more levels go into that Dusa, it just gets a bit harder. You will have to position yourself quite nicely.
DY, 20 strength stacks up on him right now. Feeling very happy with himself. Very easily able to trade right clicks with Monet with that added health. It's Fade moving in as well. Hey, we go back after DY. Fade is there with the tag team and has hit level 2, so And go for the shards or the snowball. Opt for the snowball. Soul Reap is also available, and they're going to have a go at Mad now. The stun does come out, but Paparazzi blinks in, and the snowball comes in. DY cleans it up, although a nice spin coming out from Monet as well. He will be able to find a trade. In fact, Arfu will get the kill confirmed onto DY. So basically just a trade of the supports down at that bot lane, but Vici Gaming does manage to snag the first blood.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger win for VG, mainly because, you know, DY was around for that EXP right after, so it does get a bit more. The supports do get a bit more. I guess in the end, that does mean, on the other side, that RNG gets a bit more for Monet in terms of the EXP from that kill. So I guess that's a slight positive as well for RNG. We'll see which side really prioritizes the distribution a bit better, but it looks like for VG, you do want EXP going on that Undying and Tusk fairly fast. So I feel like that's a slightly better win for VG in the end.
Certainly so. Mid lane, Ori getting in close, able to deal so much damage onto Setsu. Of course, he does go for the early level in the Arcane Orb, and I mean, if he can just get that Astral off, like if Setsu just overextends by a bit, or he just Astral imprisons and just walks up and starts hitting him with those Arcane Orbs, so much damage to a Medusa. Meanwhile, top lane, Flyby being body blocked up by Fade, and now Yang going in for the Hoof Stomp. Snowball is there, and they'll follow up with the Hoof Stomp stun, and Flyby immediately goes for the TP, as he can, because there's no stuns left. A nice play from Yang.
Yeah, nice clean play from Flyby to escape from there.
Yeah.
And does manage to scrape by, turn into that jungle. Pretty low in HP and mana though. Might be forced to wait for that shrine in 30 seconds, but after that, should be able to happily soak some more XP there.
Oh, Ori. Fade is there mid lane. They're going after Setsu. Much drained most of his mana, but Ori actually getting quite low himself, and Fade will also be forced to back off. Usa, even in those lower levels, a very hard hero to kill off. You are just a single hero, and even with the task, like, they didn't really have enough to block him up. Shards weren't quite available yet. He's only level 2. Rahatsi and Mad having an argument over the double damage rune, but Mad does win the argument. We'll back off. In fact, he may make a rotation down mid. Or he has actually rotated around the bot jungle. Looks like he will just actually shrine up with DY on that Undying. Barazzi. He left alone for the moment. Does look like DY will return, and the Tusk will remain in that mid lane, protecting Ori for the moment. Expect a rotation from him fairly soon, I'm sure. Both teams just happy to trade farm for the moment.
Yeah, it does look that way. I feel like you do expect a bit more aggression from VG, but I suppose, you know, they are doing the best they can. They've been applying quite a fair bit of pressure in that top lane, keeping Afu tied up to keep Monet company. And Paparazzi is getting a decent amount of farm here. Certainly lagging just slightly behind Monet, but I guess it's not too bad. It's not a huge gap. They are going in now.
Yeah. Afu in trouble. Nice soul root there from DY to claim the kill. Though Stormhammer does come in onto Fade, but he's a tanky Tusk. He'll be alright. He had the snowball just in case anyway. So 1-2 now, 6.5 minutes in. Monet, however, is still farming very, very well. They've slowed him down just a bit, but in terms of farm, he is still ahead of Paparazzi. Meanwhile, Flyby hasn't been having the greatest of times up against Yang, who already has that Vanguard up on that Centaur, and he's top of the net worth board. In comparison, he's actually 1k ahead of that Beastmaster right now.
Yeah, it's a very good start for Yang right now on this Centaur. I think he's pretty much won this lane straight up. Although he, you know, Flyby isn't too far behind. He's actually just, what, 3-4 CS behind, so he's not too far behind either. But a Centaur with a fast Vanguard is just that much scarier, right? It's just a bit too durable to deal with, and you can't harass him out of lane now.
DY almost gets caught in that ice path. Paparazzi and Monet playing footsies with each other. Paparazzi a nice dagger out for that siege creep. Top lane, looks like Yang is actually diving Flyby, and I guess he can because he does have the Vanguard up. He's just so darn tanky right now as the Centaur, and for Flyby, he's running the opposite way. Not much he can do as this Beastmaster. He's currently a bit underfarmed and very underleveled in comparison. He's 2 levels behind Yang on that Centaur. Yang, now Stampede comes out. He knows he's got help coming in, and Paparazzi jumps in as well with Fade. Though nice Roar comes out, but Paparazzi will have the Blink Strike surely very soon. It won't even be necessary because the dagger is up and ready to go. I'll tell you what, this Yang Centaur, I mean, it's going to make a lot of moves with this kind of lead against the Beastmaster.
Yeah, I think that's what you really want here. You want, you know, someone to really be active early on. I think in this case it will be Yang. They are going to take this tier 1 up top, or at least drop it down to a very low amount. And I think at some point Yang should be doing a rotation down bot to try to slow down Monet. I think he's going to be a very pivotal tool in there. Bug.
Slight bug out from Fade. They just need to reconnect. I'm not sure what the bug is. Of course, it can be expected with the recent updates for the new year. Hopefully
Could also be a physical bug as well.
Could be. Spiders aren't nice, John. I've had the experience. Not nice at all. E1 tower will be going down very, very quickly. Of course, Yang just literally tanking up the damage. No problem at all for him. And at this rate, like, Yang is going to have a very fast Vanguard Blink if that's what he opts to go for. In fact, he's going to find Flyby again on that Beastmaster, farming up the jungle, and, well, see Flyby, he just has to back off and find another place to farm safely.
Yeah, it's a rough game to be Beastmaster. You know, your lane match against the Centaur isn't that great. You didn't really go for the lane swaps as well, so it's just kind of tricky to sustain there. On the other hand, though, I mean, Paparazzi hasn't had the brightest of starts. Monet is definitely doing much better for himself in comparison, but it remains to be seen if that's going to be enough, because they do kind of rely on Beastmaster to really be their early game initiation and push.
Oh, Setsu still farming okay on that Medusa. Like DY finding himself in trouble, although Arfu's the one in trouble. Ori is there with the sanities, and Arfu gets taken down immediately. Juggernaut goes for the spin TP, and Monet will be out of there safely. But it does become a 1-4, and again, Vici Gaming are applying that aggression necessary throughout this game. Medusa, Setsu, not farming the greatest, but at the same time, not really that far behind, so I suppose look out for an engagement on Setsu very soon from Vici Gaming, because I suppose it's going to be their main issue later on.
Yeah, it definitely will be. I think your one key thing for VG against this Medusa, of course, is that OD from Ori, who, you know, he's already had to pull out of lane for a fair bit, and both heroes are now just kind of farming up.
DY gonna get taken down. Monet just moves forward and just right clicks him down. With that, they'll take a tier 1 tower as well. Flyby doesn't have the Roar available, so he couldn't actually go for the PA, but doesn't matter. They really just came they got what they came for anyway. That, I mean, they're behind in kills, but in terms of farm, it's just still very, very even at that 11-minute mark. It's still looking great for the side of RNG. Arfu, however, gets caught out again on that Jakiro. Fade get in there with the tag team, though. Nice ice path out from Arfu, and now the spin comes up from Monet. There are TP rotations and a very nice snowball from Fade to try and save the day, but Yang will come in, goes after Arfu. The Omni Slash is nice. He finds 2 with it. DY comes in, drops the tombstone, but it immediately gets given the way of Monet again. And now DY's life may just be sacrificed. In fact, Flyby will pick it up for himself. Arfu continuing the chase onto Yang. And suddenly the game becomes a 5-4, and RNG, they really seem to be able to turn this kind of, like, these aggressive strats back around on the team that's trying to do it to them, essentially.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. I expect that kind of movement out from VG. I expect them to be a bit more active with the Tusk Undying, but It's RNG that comes out. It's Monet that goes running around, as a juggernaut. No farm to speak of, really. Nah, no big items yet in his inventory, and just forcing these fights, forcing the issue, buying space for the Medusa to grow even bigger, and slowing down the progression of VG. This is some really good early gameplay from RNG, I feel, and I think it's definitely going to pay off as the game goes on.
See, OD, or he does end up going for the Midas now. So again, Vici Gaming seem to be just happy to get that Midas, try to catch up a bit on that OD. He has fallen not significantly behind, but he is a bit behind in comparison to the other heroes on the map. Nevertheless, it seems like he's happy to not really engage until it's farmed up quite enough. The RNG do look to really want to engage like mad. He's sitting in the tree line waiting for someone to push his tier 1 tower. Vici Gaming think better of it. They do back off in time. That 5-4. Okay, just going to rotate up top. Monet may get spotted out. In fact, he does. I don't believe Fade's really shown himself quite yet on that task. Monet will get an easy TP out as well, so pretty fine on this part of things.
Both sides do seem content in just kind of slowing the game down at this point as well. I feel like VG definitely shouldn't be too comfy slowing it down. I mean, again, they've let Setsu pretty much just refarm the entire game. No real contest coming out for Medusa so far. And we've seen what happens when you let that happen for Medusa market. It just gets kind of hard to deal with.
Well, it looks like RNG were starting up with the aggression again, but they didn't quite catch Fade with the Ice Path. Although now Stampede will come in from Vici Gaming. Hoof Stomp is there onto Flyby. Walrus Punch as well. Flyby can't do much about it. The rest of your team will back off to safety. So Vici Gaming claim a very nice kill on the poor Beastmaster. Does actually get the Crimson Guard up as well onto Yang. And we do see a defusal, however, being brought up by Monet now. That defusal, I mean, early defusals do tend to mean early aggression from these Jugs. Vaporazzi, I wouldn't say he's in trouble, he's still evading a lot of those right clicks and he will just TP out, understanding Monet can't cancel anything.
That is pretty frustrating as a right-click carry, but that does happen when you're playing against PA. I think you should definitely prep yourself for that. I'm guessing Monet will itemize for a fast MKB later on, maybe after a Manta style. If he does go for a Manta style.
Well, he's picking up the Asha, so I assume he will do so. See the Kaya as well, being picked up by Ori on that OD. To bring it out on that courier. He's farming relatively quickly now on that OD. In fact, he is just behind the Medusa in second place on that net worth graph. And Vici Gaming, again, smoke up, and they want to get aggressive. Although it is a smoke on smoke here from RNG as well. Mad, smoke is broken. He knows someone's around. They found Monet, but he shrines up immediately in Yang, getting spun on. He's so darn tanky, however, and the snowball does come in as well onto Flyby. Raw is available to be used, and they will just commit it on the task. It looks like Fade will just give his life away. There's just no real way out of that situation. But it does allow the rest of the team to get out safely. Vici Gaming, they just cut their losses in that one.
Yeah, it could have gone much worse. At the very least, they only lose their support. Tusk, of course, would have been a bit worse if Yang died, I think, although he did manage to buy at least his phase and his Crimson Guard already, so it's not a major slowdown. Already just working onto his Blink Dagger at this point, which should help out in those kinds of rotations. You definitely want to get the jump on a hero like Chug, who can just pop Magic Immunity on and suddenly lose control in him. So, that Blink Dagger will be handy once it's up for Yang. Until then, I think these smokes are going to be a bit harder than you'd expect.
Bot lane starting to be pushed in by RNG now. Nate, again, feeling very confident on this Jug. Almost has the full Yasha up as well. There is a bit of a rotation coming out, though, from Vici Gaming. They are looping around through the back.
under attack.
This could be a very nice engagement if Vici could get it off. The smoke is broken. No Stampede being committed quite yet. Ice Path will be there. Macro as well. Omni Slash is available, though they stunned him up, and the Sanity's Eclipse. Ori just destroys him. And now Arfu being chased down. One Arcane Orb gets the job done. Mad trying to back off, but a very nice Shards comes out from Fade. And with that, 3 heroes should be going down to this bot lane. They do end up giving it to Yang on that Centaur. Ori actually did not look interested whatsoever in taking that kill. With that, 6 to 8 now, and a very, very nice rotation from Vici Gaming. RNG, I mean, they went pretty far up very early, and they do get punished for it.
Yeah, it's kind of curious as to why they forced that issue there this early on. Without all their heroes up, I think you definitely want your Medusa and your Sven around for that fight. Yeah, your Medusa and your Beastmaster around for that fight if you're going to take that tier 2 tower at this point in, 18 minutes in. Definitely need to group up for that one, but they do pay for that overextension. I'm kind of surprised Monet didn't commit his Omni Slash at some point there. Felt like he might have gotten a few... If he got lucky with some good bounces, could have at least taken one down with him, but opts instead to save it for the next fight.
Oh, it looked like he was perma-stunned, so I don't think he actually had the option. It looks like he just couldn't get it off in time. Though Setsu was free farming that whole time as well, so at the very least the Medusa getting pretty much what she wants, and they're going to find a Roshan anyway. Setsu will pick it up for himself on that Medusa, so now you've got this Aegis on the Medusa. Pretty much unkillable until that Aegis runs out. And they will start pushing in towards that tier 1 mid tower. They will get it very easily as well. Setsu, 11k net worth now. He's actually hitting decently hard as well. This is some very early aggression from a Medusa, and it's working out, it seems. Raw will be there onto Yang, though they did 4-staff him out, and he looks like he will be alright. And with that Raw being used up, perhaps they don't feel as confident to keep going. And RNG, they will back off to safety once again.
Yeah, again, I don't think RNG is really on the back foot here to force any sort of issues out. I think it's definitely on Vici to maximize this window where Medusa doesn't have a BKB, she doesn't have her 25 talent, and she's not quite fully geared up, so you as the OD should be able to burst her down quite fast if you choose to do so. It's just that they haven't spotted Setsu out in the map yet. Not once. Setsu has been 0-0-0, not even an assist, so he's just been completely inactive in these big team fights.
A nice gank up onto Mad as well though, John. Vici Gaming, very surgical about this. Like they smoke up, they gank up Mad, take a very easy kill and see if they can find anything else across the map. They do move down to that bot tier 2 tower, and Ori will just get started on his own. Though OD isn't the fastest pusher in the world, he still gets a bit of work done. Looks like Arfu will be there, however, to clean up that creep wave with the macro pile. Things still stay very, very even. It was just a support Sven after all. Going back to your point, I mean, I guess they were looking for Setsu at that moment, or perhaps even Monet.
Yeah, I think those are really the big targets here. I really feel like Setsu is your main target. I mean, this is where Setsu is at his weakest on Medusa. Again, that Eye of Scotty's not up yet. The BKB's not going to be up for a while. The level 25 talent is still quite far away. So it's really your window of opportunity to keep Medusa down. It's just that they haven't managed to find Setsu's Medusa yet, so he's been fairly safe. He's farmed up quite a fair bit. He should have his Scotty up in, I don't know, a minute, maybe 2 minutes at most, and itemizes further from there. Could go for the BKB at some point as well. Maybe the 5th slot item will be at BKB. And once Medusa has a BKB, what can you really do as an OD? All of your spells, none of your spells pierce magic immunity. And you really need to get that Arcane Orb going on that Medusa to really drain her out. So I think as it goes towards that late game, sure, OD does sound like a natural counter. Even on a 5-second BKB, it's kind of hard to kill Medusa.
DY almost gets caught out, but it just seems to be too tanky, and the Stampede was there just in case. But this does give time for Setsu to push out that bot tier 2 tower, so RNG just seemingly wasting Vici Gaming's time. Doing a great job of it. In fact, Setsu has the Eye of Skadi up now as well. this is getting to very dangerous levels of farm on the Medusa for the sake of Vici Gaming. And they are going to start pushing in a tier 3 tower. They still hold the Aegis, so why the hell not? Tier 3 going to be slowly burned down by the Liquid Fire as well as those right clicks. Of course, we do see the Deso coming out on the PA. Yules is there onto Yang. Now nice Ice Path into the Macro Pyre and the Roar as well. They really want to get rid of that Centaur. They got rid of the Tusk, and the Astral is there onto Yang, though he is so tanky. Omni as well, onto 2 heroes with that Ice Path, and they're going to rip him apart, John. They've taken down Yang and Paparazzi. There's no buybacks available, and this is just great play coming out from the side of RNG. The aggression really does end up paying off for this Radiant side.
Yeah, definitely so. They're really strong at this point in the game. VG kind of missed their early game window, where the Tusk and the Undying would have just overwhelmed RNG's early support lineup. At this point, it's just going to escalate. Setsu's just going to get farmed. Monet is also growing quite big in comparison to Paparazzi. He went for that Battle Fury Desolator, but, you know, you kind of lack HP when you're in Medusa, and there is quite a fair bit of magic damage around from RNG, so as long as you're stuck in that area of control, you could potentially just melt away if you're Paparazzi's PA.
Very close Ice Path, although it's not even necessary. Monet, he still has that Diffusal Blade available. Setsu still holding onto the Stone Gaze. Now he will commit it, and it looks like they will be able to find Fade, although very nice shards up the hill. They actually can't see him. A great play from him to at least delay it out a bit, although Setsu continues moving forward. Meanwhile, Yang, he found Flyby on that Beastmaster, and Paparazzi gets to work. He'll find Mad on the Sven, and they'll move forward even more. Monet, can they get Paparazzi? There's a big pick off if they can. Ice Path will not connect, however, and Yang will take the hits on the Centaur. And with that, Vici Gaming gets some real nice punishment out onto the side of RNG. Very nice kills, and in fact, they're going to go for more. Setsu is a massive pick-off if they can get it, but they've got to be careful not to give too much away here. Though Setsu does not have Aegis any longer, he's still so darn tanky, and the Force Staff, it doesn't make Ori get up the hill, so he can only Astral himself in the Ice Path. It does connect onto Yang. A nice blink is there, though, from the OD. He will be able to get out, but Setsu will continue to find himself more kills as he gets onto a double, and Yang does end up going down. Again, no buybacks available at this stage of the game for Vici Gaming. So this tier 3 push, once again from RNG, does seem quite suitable.
I mean, they have no way of dealing with this Medusa right now, and she doesn't even have a BKB yet. The damage coming out from Ori just feels lackluster for some reason. It just feels like it doesn't even scratch Setsu.
Ice Path again, they found him, the Omni straight away. Astral won't be there in time, and he's dead now. DY will be the next target, DY is dead. He'll buy back immediately, though Paparazzi, he's falling low himself. He's gone, again no buyback, and they've just called GG. 25 minutes in, RNG. What did they put in their coffee today? Like, they've really woken up.
I could use some of that in my coffee as well, Mike. Really well played from them this game. I mean, they picked the Medusa into an OD, which a lot of people tend to give towards that OD, but it comes down to that laning phase. If the OD doesn't win out in that laning phase against a Medusa, and if you don't shut down that Medusa in the first 15 minutes, Medusa will just literally overtake the OD, no matter what. And Setsu was just pretty much AFK farming the entire game until he decided to push the tier 2 down bot. That's when he really made his appearance in teamfights, and that's when the game really started to just snowball towards the way of RNG. I think that's a really impressive play from them. Really clean gameplay from RNG. I'm kind of worried for VG. Hopefully in Game 2 they clean up their act a bit and get it going a bit better. They had a really good draft. I feel like it was very strong. You have the Tusk, you have the Undying, you have the PA who comes online quite fast. You had Yang who had a really good lane. And it just didn't come together towards that mid-game. I feel like you really have to apply that pressure early on. If you draft like this, Tusk, Undying, definitely need to make their lane presence known. And it just felt like it didn't really come out that game, Mike.
Well, nevertheless, RNG looking in quite a powerful position. They could take another one 2-0. We'll see if they can pull it off. Of course, if they do win this series, they do just move on to the lower bracket final. Of course, we haven't found the other team for that quite yet. It is Team Asta and Kim Gaming up against each other right now for the first game. However, we'll be back for game number 2 between Vici Gaming and RNG. Won't be too long, guys. Please stick around. We'll be right back.